Hello, Adam.
Hello, Dylan.
How we doing?
Good. How are you, brother?
Happy Wednesday, December 17th, everybody. It's almost Christmas. It's starting to feel a lot like Christmas,
We are so back. We're so
even though
back.
it's bright and sunny where I live, and it's not that at all.
It is cold and snowy where I live.
Oh, don't I know it?
So cold. But hey, the eggnog is flowing. The Christmas tunes are blaring over here.
I love it.
Up on the rooftop, click, click, click.
See, now's the time to be drinking eggnog.
Oh, God.
When I was over at your house early November, you were trying to force me to get some eggnog when we went to the grocery store. And I said, Adam, you got to earn this. You can't just be drinking eggnog whenever you want.
Dude, if it's
You
on
know?
the shelves, you earned it, dude. You made it through the year.
No, dude.
You
This
made
is
it
the
to
time.
Q4.
It is officially eggnog season.
Well, trust me, I'm taking full advantage.
All right, welcome to the Soundcheck podcast. We're only going to talk about eggnog today.
This is
No,
the
just
eggnog
kidding.
app.
No, we did a little mailbag on our Instagram story, so shout out to some folks tuning in there. I think we'll do this every so often and just kind of take some questions from the good people and the listeners. And yeah, we'll just kind of riff and go off of some of these questions we got. We won't get to every one because there were a handful, which I thought was pretty cool, given this is episode 4. So there are people listening.
Nice.
I will give us the prompt, and I'll just kind of let you flow, and I'll chime in.
Cool.
This one is from Jordan Smith, who is a really good friend of mine, actually, and a very successful music manager and just all around great guy. He says, "What do you feel like are the most important qualities that no one sees publicly to be an artist?"
For me, it's being able to notice the small happenings of the world that I think are easy to look over. I think that being an artist is largely like transmuting a view of the world through music and like just giving people perspective on things. And I think that a lot of really good artists have their antennas tuned to like details of the world that are otherwise looked over. And I think that when you see music come out and you're a fan or whatever, I think you kind of see the finished product. You see the music videos and you hear the song done and whatever. But I think there's a lot of beauty in the moment that those little seeds are planted. You know, when you're
Totally.
like out on a walk and you see whatever, some lady walking 3 of her dogs, and then you go home and you make a song called Me and My Dogs, and it's like no one ever knows that that whole idea just sprung from you being like hyper aware to the details of life.
That just made me think of when y'all made For the Birds in that session. I think you were in Nashville,
Yeah, that's a
and
great example of that.
there were birds outside of the window that just kept getting picked up when you guys were recording guitar or something. And you're like, yo, can y'all shut the fuck up? And then you were like, actually, I'm just going to make a song called For the Birds. This song's for the birds,
Yeah.
which obviously has a different meaning with the actual song. But it started with that real life, just weird little quirk or, just little happening that happened. Yeah, I think that's a great point. There's so many things that go on, whether it's directly to us or for us or not, that go into the things that are on our mind when we're making a song or putting together a video or just presenting our ideas to the world. They all contribute to that at once. When I read this question earlier this morning, the first thing I thought of was showing up every single day regardless of the results. I think that's something that maybe gets overlooked because in terms of output, it's not the same every day, every month, every year. Your favorite artist might have put out 6 songs this year, right? Because maybe they were like, okay, we're going to do every other month we're going to drop a single. Maybe that'll lead to an album, maybe it won't. But we're going to be really heavy on visuals and branding, and maybe they're on tour a ton that year, whatever. That doesn't mean that they wrote 6 songs that year, and that's all they did. It means that they probably wrote, who knows, it depends who it is, right? But like, I try to write every day whenever I have the availability to, right? So I probably made 50, 60 songs this year, and that's not even as many as it would be in some other years in the past. But I didn't put out 50 songs this year, right?
Right.
And just doing those reps regardless of, because also, let's say you put out a song next week and it doesn't do as well as one that you put out 2 months ago. That doesn't mean you're just gonna be like, okay, now I have to do this differently because this didn't work or this did work. You might make subtle adjustments and based on, what feels good to you, but the results don't dictate all the work that goes on behind the scenes,
Yeah, 100%.
That John Bellion interview I sent you a couple weeks back to just tap into, because he was just dropping heaters in there.
Mm-hmm.
He said something that really resonated with me for obvious reasons was create like an artist and work like an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the reps and the processes and the showing up every day has to be kind of non-negotiable. And if you're able to do that and then also be in a creative space where it's not so black and white and you're kind of just letting things flow, I feel like that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's a lot that goes into being an artist to that maybe the public just isn't tapped into because they're not doing it. So why would they be? And there's also nothing wrong with that. But yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it. But yeah, thank you, Jordan, for the question.
Very good one.
Great way to kick it off. This is a good one. This is from E. Brown, who is also a homie of mine. I think you met him when we were in Seattle. He came out to the show and hung out with us. Mm-hmm. He's an artist as well. He dropped in the box and said, would love to hear your guys' thoughts on show etiquette. I don't hear about this enough, in my opinion. I thought that was a good one.
That is a really good one. Man, there's so much stuff to talk about with that. Show etiquette, I think you could talk about different points depending on if you're the headliner, if you're the opener, what role you're actually playing in the show. I'll just talk about it, I guess, from an opener standpoint. I think the biggest thing is being on time and being a professional. If you have a set amount of time allocated for like Soundcheck and whatnot, you got to be there and just finish it in that time. There's a whole lot of there's this whole thing in the music world where a lot of artists are, creative-minded people, and sometimes their logistical side is not quite balanced with that. So you see people like all the time with music artists, like, I'm running late, I don't have my tracks with me, I need my producer to email me these like tracks. And I think that's the separator between when you're opening for a big artist, if they're going to meet you and experience you being there, whether they're going to call you back for more shows or whether It's going to be a one-time thing. If you show up and you're simply a pain in the ass, I mean, that's a good way to just not be invited back, So I would say show etiquette for an opener is just rely on your logistical side. Like, you can be creative with a show, but really a show is a logistical output. Like, you rehearse, there's not too much, unless you're like planning on it, there shouldn't be too much about a show where it's like I'm pulling out my creative side. I see it more as like
it's a
I'm
job.
going to be a professional. It's a job. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do really well. I'm going to rehearse these things. I'm going to practice them. And then when I go out there, I'm going to execute it and I'm going to do it well. You know? So I guess that would be partially my advice is like just be a professional. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that starts way before the show day as well. Just kind of knowing what questions to ask and how to prepare for what your role is in the show, whether you're opener, headliner, DJ, whatever it is. Understand what's going to be expected of you and then set yourself up for success. So, like you were saying, an opener pulls up and it's sound check time, and he's like, okay, I got to email my producer so he can send me these show tracks. You didn't get booked for this show today, my guy. You should have done this already. You should have those show tracks ready. You should have them on your laptop, in the DJ's hands, in your DJ's hands. Figure out a way, like know how you're going to execute your set before you get to the venue for sound check. Another thing that's very simple that I think everyone should do, regardless of it's at a show or even if they work in music, is shake people's hand, look them in the eyes. Very simple stuff, but I feel like, as we've talked about a ton, because we've been on the road together in different capacities, you could go to a venue and sell 35 tickets, and the venue barely makes money that day. But if you show up there on time with your shit together, look everybody in the eyes, say thank you, say please, whatever. Just be a normal person. That venue will book you again because you're also competing with people that maybe they sell more tickets than you, but they're late, they're spilling shit all over the equipment, they're trashing the green room, they're, just don't have their shit in order. And the venue doesn't want to deal with people like that. They just really don't,
Yeah.
So being a normal person and being a professional can take you a long way in terms of getting booked over and over again. And then I think the artist-to-artist relationship, something that maybe people don't talk about enough. If I didn't know you and I was opening for you in Arizona or something, and I got put on the bill through a promoter or maybe through your manager or whatever, I'm going to do my set and I'm going to hang out all night. I might not be in the front row singing every lyric. Maybe I don't know you like that, but I'm going to hang out. I'm going to try to talk to you after the set. Maybe I even grab merch from you if I fuck with it enough, or like if I had a good time. Just that artist to artist, like showing respect and being there for the whole show. And it shows that you're there for the right reasons. It shows that you understand. Maybe you've been a headliner locally, so you want those people to stay and hang out, whether it's a big show or not. Yeah. I just feel like you see a lot of people open for an artist. They just do their set and they brought their 5 friends that they probably asked for guest list spots for, and then they just roll out and that's it. And it's like,
it's the worst.
I'll never book this guy again. He sucks.
And even worse than when they just like roll out with their few homies that they brought. It's such a pet peeve of mine when an artist will open and then like another artist is actually on the touring bill, is like coming out or whatever, and that artist is standing like directly in the crowd talking with all of their friends, and it's so loud and disrespectful that it's like distracting everyone from the show that's still going on. Yeah. It's the worst thing. Like, I've seen artists open for a show where there's like 100 people there, but they brought out, 10 or 15 of their homies, which is cool. You bring out people to the show. That's awesome. But then when they're off stage, they're like, look at what we did. Like, we're like selling out this place is crazy. Like, let's drink. And they're just wild the rest of the evening and super disrespectful. And not only is that annoying to everyone else trying to enjoy the show, but also I don't think they're even benefiting from that. Like, I don't think they're making new fans. Like you said, you just need to talk to people, look them in the eye, make a connection.
That artist that you're talking about, which I know you're not talking about one person, but that type of person, they went there to look cool and say they had a show and then post a video and be like, we're fucking lit. It's turned up.
Yeah.
They didn't go there to meet the other artists, meet the promoter of the show, make new fans. That's the point. Like, that's how you're going to do this again and like get on a bigger opportunity or whatever. It's just not, just like counterproductive to do shit like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we've dealt with that over the years. That even we've worked together where it's like, okay, well, now we know not to book this person again, or hey, this person, he didn't bring out as many people, but he was really easy to work with, really nice guy, just a genuine person. Like, I'll book this kid to open for us every time we come to this
Every
city
time.
just because he's cool, you
Yeah,
know?
every time. If
And
I'm going to play in some city and we need to book an opener, if there's some guy that is just super normal, nice dude, respectful, but he'll bring out 5 people, I will book him every day
yeah,
over the annoying asshole that brings 40 or 50 people. Like
yeah.
that, it doesn't matter. It's all about the environment and the experience.
Because at the end of the day, you're going there as the headlining act or whatever to connect with your fans and put on a good experience. And less people in the room with a better vibe and a better experience is just a better situation for everybody. So,
Yeah.
hopefully it's both. And I feel like those are the people that end up winning and doing their own tours when they understand I can bring people out and I'm normal and I'm just a regular person and, it's like a good vibe. Those are
Yeah.
the people that end up winning long term.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we could probably do an hour-long episode on show etiquette because there's so much that goes into it beforehand. Like, if you're talking about booking your own shows and like setting up your own kind of DIY situation, there's a lot that goes into that with just the way to word an email, the way to respond after you get a response, what to ask for in between the time you book and the time the day that the show happens. There's so much of that. But yeah, a lot of this is like day of show, just kind of normal stuff, which I do think is valuable. And then even just like after the fact too. Thank the promoter, thank the person that booked you, thank the person that was running sound, thank the bartender on your way out. All that stuff. It seems so simple, and maybe it doesn't matter, but it really does. Especially if you're playing smaller rooms and need people to want to give you a shot over and over again. If you're not, selling 1,000 tickets every night. Maybe that artist is not thanking the bartender that they got a team of people that are doing things, and it's like that's a money making operation, right? But when you're on the way up, all that little stuff goes a really, really long way.
Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully, if you practice that for long enough, and that's what your habits are, when you are selling tickets and you are making a ton of money, you still act that way. Because I think that's even cooler when you act that way when you don't even need to is like really dope.
That's the best. Yeah. That's the best.
Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, great question. Feel like we got some great convo out of that, and hopefully we answered it for you.
Yeah.
Onward.
Onward. This one's from Bo Diz. Love Bo Diz. That's our guy. He opened for Abstract when we were in Minnesota and somewhere else, Iowa City, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
He's opened for me a couple times too. Great dude. He said, when were you able to transition into full-time, or when were you able to transition to full-time in music, and what was that process like? Take it away.
Still working on it, brother.
Yeah.
Still working on it, but I think it's important coming up and trying to become full-time music. I think it's important to have another source of income because, I mean, really, shit can be expensive. Making merchandise, touring, whoever you may be paying, whether it's a mixing engineer, graphic designer, cover art,
Yeah.
producers, even to get the equipment to record yourself, or if you're paying for studio time. There is no shame in having a job, I think, on the come up. I think it's actually there's this weird middle ground where like artists can be pretty successful and have a lot going on, but the money kind of trails behind a little bit. And it's important to have a job there. I think that a lot of artists, it's like, can be a little discouraging, because you feel like being an artist is your purpose and that's your gift. And any time that's spent away from that can feel a little bit draining on your soul. But I think it's really important for an independent artist to get past that and to see it as a mechanism that's helping your music. For example, me all through the pretty much from 2023 on, I was substitute teaching. I got my, because I have a degree from WVU, so I got a certification to substitute teach public school, and it was a job that paired well with music because it's like you can choose when to work and you can choose when not to work because you're not a full-time employee.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically, if there's ever you have to go tour, you have to go travel for music, you have that flexibility with the job. So I would say it's great to have a job like that, whether it's, I think there's other examples of that. Driving Uber, what's the
Just something that's flexible.
What's the stuff where you shop for other people?
Like Instacart, stuff like that.
Instacart,
DoorDash,
yeah.
whatever.
But I think it plays a huge role in it, and it has definitely played a huge role in me being able to operate and keep growing on the artist side, because there's a lot of a lot of merch that I put out or tours that I did in the past where it's like, if I wasn't working a job outside of music, that stuff is not happening, like, unless you're like a rich kid, unless you are just like, Nepo baby, which I guess that has a bad terminology to it. If your parents have money and they want to give it to you to do what you love, that's
not
fine.
even your parents. If I just think what you're saying is it costs money to be an artist and put out a product that you're making out of thin air. Whether you can do as many things as you can yourself, but it's still going to cost money. Like, I feel like I'm someone that does a lot of things on my own, but like we talked about on the last episode, I'm paying for mixing. I do all my own graphic arts, right? Like, I'm writing on my own stuff. A lot of my producers are like my in-house guys, but somehow that costs money too. I got to pay my guys, right? But even then, marketing, going on tour is really expensive, and that's something I try to do as much as humanly possible. I feel like that's where a lot of my money goes, honestly, is investing in the show and flying everywhere, traveling, renting a car, buying merch in bulk. I'm about to go on tour next week. I spent a lot of money to set this tour up. So, people that come buy $20 tickets, it's like huge. But the point is that money's got to come from somewhere. So whether you have a job, like a day-to-day, 9 to 5, whatever, that's funding that, or if your parents have money, it's a blessing, or if you have a homie that can invest money into what you're doing and like they make money on the back end or whatever, like, it's got to come from somewhere. And I feel like the more you can pay for yourself as an independent artist, the further you can take it, because then you don't owe anybody anything. You're really betting on yourself and your own operation. And then one day, either, a touring company, or you get a management deal, or maybe a record deal, or all these things that can start funding these things for you once there's money coming in and there's a proof of concept, or not. Maybe you're just making enough money off your art where you just keep funding it. That's like the real goal to me, right? But, I think you have to do whatever you have to do to make sure you have money to spend on the thing that you are trying to make happen. That's just the reality of it is. Yeah.
And wherever that money comes from, good on you. If you got to get a job, get a job.
Yeah. I think there's artists out there that should have a job.
For sure.
When they don't.
For sure.
Because shit just costs money. And that's kind of funny coming from me, because people that know my story, I've been full-time music for my whole life, basically, like after college. I never went and got a job. With that being said, that's not because I was just successful out of the gate and I'm just like rich and I'm just crushing it. If I was living off of just my streams, like how some artists are, I would be fucking homeless. I've just set myself up to wear different hats and use the skills that I've built to work for myself in the music business full time. I'm managing you in Abstract. I've got a handful of artists that I work with on like a coaching basis. I do graphic design freelance. I design a bunch of people's merch and cover art. In the beginning, I was mixing people's songs, out of my studio back in Massachusetts. so many different revenue streams that come from working in music full time. So depends on how you look at it. Some people would say I'm not a full-time artist, but I obviously wake up and do whatever I got to do, but I've got a full plate, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but sometimes it feels like all the other things that I'm doing, like working with you or whoever else, or working with other artists, or working on different projects, that is my day job. All those things like make up my 9 to 5 so I can pay for my album and my tour and get this feature that I wanted or whatever it is. So I've just found a way to create my own job in a sense so I can fund it. But if I was just like, I'm just going to record songs all day and just bet on people streaming my songs and I just got iTunes money coming in the mail, I would be a complete dumbass and I would be in a different place in life. Yeah. Because it's really, really, really hard to turn that corner and just do that.
Yeah.
Now it's all possible, and obviously there's growth. There is money coming in. Same with you, right? It's like you're getting to that point where it's like, okay, there's money coming in. This is close to being, I can just do this and just chill, not chill,
yeah.
but, not work, not do other shit. So yeah, I think it's like a constant process, because even if you are full-time music, I think oftentimes that means you're probably working harder than you would at a job. Yeah. Because there's so many things to think about and so many things to oversee. So much communication is happening, whether it's booking shows or doing marketing stuff or, producer to artist to engineer to whatever. There's so many things to talk about and think about and put in motion. And let's face it, a lot of people, when they go to work, if they're not doing something that they don't love doing, they're just clocking in and clocking out. They're checking a box, right?
Yeah.
And that's not, for everybody in the world, but I think, I don't want to make a generalization because I actually don't know the answer to this, but it's I feel like most people that clock into work, they probably aren't working as hard as they possibly can for that company or whatever they're doing. If you work at a grocery store or some shit, it's you're just doing, all right, I gotta stock the shelf, or I gotta put this over here, I gotta ring this up. They're not grinding, trying to do their best absolute job every single day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds bad or not. But.
No, yeah, no. I've got a buddy that works at some sort of factory, and he tells me all the time. He's like, I just worked an 8-hour shift. I think I spent 4 hours of it just hiding in the bathroom.
So yeah, maybe it's not that extreme always, but I think a lot of people are bullshitting at their job and making money, right?
Yeah.
So if you can do that, stack your bread, and then put that bread into the thing that you actually care about, which what we're talking about is your music career, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to do. So as long as it makes sense to keep your job and have that guaranteed income while you're building this thing, do that. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, if your number one goal is to grow your artist career, you should be working a job outside of your music, and you should be keeping yourself broke intentionally. Every dime that you make in excess of your bills or whatever should be going back into music, whether that's making merch, paying people to make your music better, running ads on your stuff so you're getting more eyes on
my
it,
life, dog.
touring, whatever it may be. The income can always grow, but the outcome should be growing with it too, the output of money and reinvesting it. Yeah. It's the point of working and saving money is to use that money for things. Money is just simply a tool for us to do shit with. So it's
1,000%.
If you're just working and then not using that money towards music, then it's all right, maybe sit at home and just make songs and try to blow up on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a whole other side of that where it's understanding how to use that money as well is pretty important.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had conversations with friends of mine that, live back home in Massachusetts. Cost of living is a little cheaper. They've got well-paying jobs that they've been at for 10 years, own a house, successful American dream type of thing, right? I'll go back home or whatever, and they're like, "Yo, how's everything going? Like, are you like rich or like what's going on? Like, you live in LA, you're making music." I'm just like, bro, hell no. Like, I'm just making money to invest back into what I'm doing. Yeah. And, they're close friends of mine, so we'll talk numbers, whatever. There's some years where I'm making more than them in terms of gross money that is coming into my pockets, into my bank account. But I have no money in my bank account because I'm spending all of it. I'm reinvesting it constantly. Like everything we're talking about, merch, tour, album, everything costs money. So if you want to make a great product and a great experience for your fans, that's going to cost money. So and I'm sure a lot of people know all this stuff, right? But next time you go to a concert at whatever scale it is, whether it's 50 people in a bar or at Madison Square Garden, look around and think about how much this costs to put on. And sometimes maybe that's $500, but doing that 20 times in a row as an independent artist is expensive, right?
Yeah.
And then Madison Square Garden, like you go see Drake, they're spending like $1 million to do that show. Granted, he might make $5 million that night or whatever it is, but it's not just like you just show up and you just put money in your pocket and it's just all good. Like, the operation costs money, and even people at that level, like huge, massive artists, like Sabrina Carpenter's put an album out. I would love to know how much that album cost to make.
Probably a lot. Yeah,
it's an insane amount of money when we're talking about all the recording, the production, the mixing, all the art direction, which is like they're spending money on things that we're not even spending money on. And it's like at the highest tier, right?
Yeah.
All the marketing that went into Sabrina Carpenter's album, like there's billboards in every city. They're on the radio. Like they're spending millions of dollars. That's why they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing, but it's out of my pretty LLC bank account with not $1 million in it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's got to be money coming in somehow to spend it. And I feel like we're just repeating ourselves at this point, but hopefully people get it.
Yeah.
You gotta have money. So keep a job if that's what it takes.
I'll never forget the same week that Gretzky dropped with Mike. Me and V Wills were working on our song Way Back, and we were trying to get it out at the time. And V Wills called me on the day that Gretzky came out, and he was like talking to me about it. Yo, we're on the phone, and I'm like, bro, I actually gotta go. I'm on my lunch break right now. I have kids coming back in my room. I gotta teach a bunch of 8th graders. And he was like, bro, what? Like, you just dropped the phone with Mike and you're a substitute teacher? He's like, what the hell? What is going on? And I'm like, I'm trying to make this shit happen.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's a pretty good example of that.
People forget too, you drop the song with Mike, it's crushing it. It's not a direct deposit in your bank account in real time.
No.
It takes 3, 4, 9 months sometimes for royalties to hit, whether it's master publishing, whatever. We can talk about all that too later. But yeah, it takes a while, and also that first month of Gretzky happening, that doesn't mean that song is going to stream that amount for every month from now until the end of time.
Yeah.
Like that moment was big. That's a big moment, not only financially, but just eyeballs. All these things are happening. It was like a really important,
a lot of people discovered
time.
Me at that time. Yeah.
It
was really,
So it's
really
great.
exciting.
But that doesn't mean like, all right, now everything's good and I can
I'm going
just
to quit my job, dude. I'm going to get a house, a new car. I just got a Corvette. No, it's just not. But dude, it was a great moment for my career. Just people discovering me. I guess this might be a good time to splash this in there. If you're listening, this should be coming out Wednesday, the 17th. Me and Mike are dropping a new one this Friday. Anyone else?
bombs away.
Mike dropping on Friday. W's in the chat. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Was supposed to. We were originally talking about dropping it in early January. I was gonna put out this song called "Good One," but the big guy called it in, said we need to shift it back a little bit. So
Called the audible.
And here we are this Friday, the 19th. So that'll be fun. That'll be cool. I'm excited.
Exciting times once again.
Yeah.
People are gonna love that song. It's fire.
I think so too. To me, like I kind of like it more than Gretzky as far as just songs that me and Mike have made together. It feels kind of like we've said with the Water Your Roots. The whole theme of the album just feels like a more just like grown and developed version of the sound. And I feel like this song is that just feels
Yeah.
good. Feels good. I love it.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. There were a handful more questions, but I think we should cut it here. That was fantastic. Maybe we'll do this every so often and maybe revisit these. I've got screenshots of them, so we can always come back. But yeah, keep your eyes on the Instagram polls and whatnot, because we'll do mailbag stuff like this. I think that's cool, and hopefully valuable too. But yeah, we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tapping in. Go bump that new Adam and Mike, and also my album is out now too. So
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, let's rip. We'll see y'all soon.